Welcome to the Lumpkin Leadership Forum, where we talk about issues facing our community. I'm Rob Nichols, the Executive Director of the Dahlonega-Lumpkin County Chamber of Commerce. Today we're joined by Vice Chairman Jeff Moran, and we're going to hear his perspective on ways to lead our community towards smart, controlled growth while keeping the Dahlonega-Lumpkin County charm. Jeff, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate you inviting me on here.
It's good to have you here. Lumpkin County is experiencing growth year after year, with a large portion of that being 65 or older. How does the county respond and prepare for the impact of that growth each year?
Well, first I would address the how we're responding to that growth. And I think if you look back at our statistics, you'll see that Lumpkin County has kind of had a slow but steady growth that's remained consistent throughout several years. I mean, you can go back 10 years and see that the numbers haven't changed much. We haven't experienced any growth spikes that other counties that surround us have. So that's the first thing to put into perspective. And plus, growth is healthy. You need growth. If you don't have growth, you're dying as a community. So obviously we don't want uncontrolled growth, but smart growth is healthy. Some of the growth we have is from the senior aged citizens, but we're also experiencing commercial growth down on the Gateway Corridor Overlay District. Basically the location from Highway 60 and 400 in south. That's the Gateway Corridor Overlay District. And for years, we haven't seen any commercial growth whatsoever in this community, and we're starting to see some there. Most recent being the satellite industries expansion into, remaining here in Lumpkin County and over towards Georgia 400 there. And then we have the Publix and the Tractor Supply and the hospital. So we are experiencing some commercial growth, and that's important. It's healthy. It's healthy to have a good balance of residential growth and commercial growth to help with a healthy tax digest, so all the burden is not on the residents of this community. Some other ways we're preparing is, we're working with Georgia Department of Transportation and the Regional Planning Commission in ways to address traffic situations and traffic growth that we're experiencing here in the county, mainly from 400 to the city, but it's still part of Lumpkin County, so that's our responsibility as well. We have several road projects that were either recently completed or we're continuing to work on. The first one that we just recently completed was the roundabout on Bernstein Road and Aurora Road. That there has helped a lot of congestion. There, everything runs smoothly there now. The next one, if you continue towards Dahlonega on Aurora Road, you'll get to Highway 9, and you have the Aurora Road, Highway 9, Torrington Road intersection debacle that you have there. And we're working with Georgia DOT and the city to have a joint project to where we can address that. I think the solution is, come to find out, is we're going to be replacing two of those bridges, the one on Torrington Road, the one on Highway 9, as well as creating a double dogleg roundabout. Not double in lanes, but two roundabouts, I should say, a dogleg roundabout, to where it's a tough intersection because there's another major road that is just offset. So you can't do one big roundabout. It's got to have two smaller roundabouts. So that'll address that traffic quite a bit, because you have one person heading into town from Aurora Road and wants to take a left. That holds up about 15 cars wanting to take a right. The right turn's relatively easy. It's the left turn that's difficult, and that holds up everyone. So a roundabout, I think a lot of people were not on board with roundabouts several years ago, and they have really proven themselves to be efficient and work well with traffic and overcoming traffic issues. And we've seen the one at Oak Grove Road with the school traffic there. There used to be accidents there all the time. There's hardly anything there anymore. Same thing over by Crane Store on 115, and we'll probably see a few more here in the county before too long. Another intersection that we're trying to address is Highway 460 at the very end, right at the final traffic light at the end of 400. The plan right now is to create two turn lanes to the left. The center lane will still go straight with one lane, but we're also creating a turn lane to the right as well. Now, we're obviously limited on how far we can go back with these turn lanes because of the bridge, but we're trying to maximize that space that's there and is unused and try to address that and continue to keep the traffic flowing. And once those lanes are in, and it should be shortly, it's actually out for bid right now. Environmental EPA or EPD. I'm sorry. Thank you. EPD had to do a study, and they were digging for Indian artifacts down at the bottom there. We already had the dirt in. We hauled that over from another project and worked with DOT by promising them that, hey, we'll provide all the dirt if we can do this, and they agreed. And now that we got the clearance through EPD, it'll start construction. Georgia DOT will shortly, but it's out for bid right now. So once that's completed, they can actually retime the lights, and that should be a much more efficient flow of traffic through that intersection. Another thing we're looking at, I'm actually meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers in early May to talk about extending the turn lane from Highway 60. If you're coming out of town to the highway and you want to turn right to go towards Dawsonville, that turn lane there where the bank is, if we're trying to extend that backwards and make it a much longer turn lane, and that should help out a lot of that traffic that we see. But I think the traffic counts have pretty much remained steady as well. And if you really dig deep into the traffic problems, it's usually around the times where people are commuting into school for college or out of college. You know, they just got out and they're leaving. So we're trying to prepare for any growth that's coming up and trying to stay ahead of it as much as possible. As for the 65 and older population, I'm assuming you're kind of referring to the senior exemption, and that's always been out there. It's been there for about 25 years, and we've always been able to deal with it pretty successfully. I know the concern is the seniors move up here, they're exempt from a majority of the property taxes. That makes the younger generation have to bear the burden of the property tax to fund the local government. Actually, with all the talk at the state legislature, it may not be as big of an issue as it has been in the past, because instead of just the seniors getting the exemption, now we're looking at having a homestead exemption, either a freeze or a total elimination of property taxes on your homesteaded property, which would mean not just the seniors have an exemption, but everyone has an exemption. So then we'd have to look at other alternatives, probably in the form of a sales tax that would go to funding local government. Some of the things also with the senior population is the use of services. That population seems to use a little more of the fire and EMS emergency services. So what we've done is we've hired more employees on the fire department and the emergency services. So that's helping out a lot. Pickleball, fastest growing sport in the nation. Okay, but it's super popular among seniors. I mean, it's a low impact sport and it's great for seniors. We built 6 new outdoor pickleball courts at the Pine Tree Recreation Center. They can also move it indoors in inclement weather and cold weather onto the basketball courts, and then the community center still can host pickleball there. So we've expanded that. Our senior center is another good example of how we're preparing for and addressing the senior population, which is led by Mark Bottoms. Does a wonderful job, but he's expanded the services there and the programs there to accommodate the growth in that population.
Great. Jeff, let me focus you on this. You mentioned the Gateway Corridor. So how's the county focusing on economic development of the 400 Gateway Corridor while still preventing uncontrolled economic sprawl throughout the county?
Sure. Now, that's a good question, but I think if you were to drive around the unincorporated area of the county, I don't think you would see any huge sprawl of anything. You'll see a house here and there, a neighborhood here and there, but you're not going to see anything that's crazy. I challenge you to go out there and look and try to find that. One of the biggest reasons why we're not experiencing uncontrolled growth within the county is our 1 acre minimum in most areas of the county and our 3 acre minimum in the agricultural area. It just isn't cost effective for big builders to come into the county and build when they can go to the neighboring county and build as many houses as they want on an acre. So yeah, there's building permits, I think we have about 200 in 2025 residential building permits, but it's not crazy. As for the Gateway Corridor, a few years ago, we adopted the Gateway Corridor Overlay District, and that came with a separate set of regulations on architectural standards to address that growth and to make it look nicer, because this is the entrance to our community, and we want it to look different than what it does in the county south of us. So a good example is the hospital. One of the things in the overlay district, it wants to have parking in the rear of the buildings. And, the hospital got a variance to put the parking up front, but they also disguised it with a swale of dirt and some landscaping that you can barely see some roofs of some, but as the landscaping comes in, you won't see any of them. And I think it looks good. I think it's a much better look than some of the other ones that you see. Another thing we've done is we've overhauled the land use plan that we have. We did that a couple years ago. And it's geared towards character areas. Different character areas will have different things that are allowed in there. It's performance zoning. And it also limits it by the road structure. And if it's off from an arterial road, a collector road, or a local road. And I'd be glad to get into that, but that takes us down a whole nother rabbit hole. So, and then infrastructure. One more thing, the infrastructure. So you're not going to see high density anything when there's no water and there's no sewer. Okay? EPD will tell you that if you're going to have a well and a septic tank, you have to have a minimum of 1 acre, hence our 1 acre minimum. So if you put water in or you put sewer in, one or the other, it goes down to a 1/2 acre. If you put them both in, you basically can put whatever your code will allow to put on that 1 acre. So right now we're currently at 1 acre and 3 acres in the agriculture area just because it's more rural and we want to keep that rural look. But so we focused our infrastructure on the Gateway Corridor. That's where we want to see some sort of growth. That's where the community, with community input, as we did the Gateway Corridor Overlay District, decided that they wanted to see growth. So that's where we're focusing it, and we put in water and sewer in that area specifically. So we put it in where it doesn't make sense, or where it makes sense, and we leave it out where it doesn't make sense. And I think that'll stop a lot of the high density and urban sprawl.
What kind of development is necessary to support the increasing number of tourists in Lumpkin County? And how can local government control that development to keep the charm of our county that brings in those tourists?
So tourism is definitely an economic driver of our community. We have wineries that are doing great. We have event venues and wedding venues that are doing incredible. We have a brewery. We have a distillery. We have a hallmark city that everyone comes to see. The one missing piece that I see is lodging. There's just not enough lodging for the tourists. So if they come up here, there's a limited amount of space to stay. If they're lucky enough to get that, they can stay a couple days. If not, they leave that same day and go back to their homes in downtown Atlanta or wherever they're coming from. But I think that's the missing piece. And if we could somehow do something and get more lodging, that would be a much better option for them. And that way, when people drive up here, they can stay for a couple days. And I think it would keep the roads a lot smoother too, because they're not coming back and forth every day.
All right, Jeff, we're going to transition for some tough rapid fire questions. So you have to pick your answer quickly.
Oh boy.
All right. Bear on the Square or Gold Rush?
Gold Rush.
Halloween scarecrows or Christmas lights?
Christmas lights.
Lighting of the square or 4th of July to drill field?
Lighting of the square.
Pickleball at Pine Tree or hiking the reservoir?
Hiking the reservoir for me so far, because I haven't gotten into pickleball yet.
Cane Creek Falls or Amicalola Falls?
Cane Creek.
Blood Mountain or Preacher's Rock?
Preacher's Rock.
Tubing or kayaking down the Chastity?
Well, I tube because I live on the Chastity.
And if you're on the square, is it fudge or ice cream?
Ice cream.
All right. And our last question, what does Dahlonega Lumpkin County mean to you?
It means the world to me. We chose this place as our place to settle down and live the rest of our days. And the connections that we've made up here and the people, the friends, the businesses, the topography. I mean, we wake up happy. My wife and I wake up happy every day living here in Lumpkin County, so it means the world to us.
Great. Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us, and thank you, citizens of Dahlonega, Lumpkin County, for joining us on our podcast. Please stay tuned for more episodes as we interview different leaders and talk about issues facing our community.